What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel, Sentencing Collection, Sentencing Channel, here with Lamar West. Uh, Entertainment journalist, culture journalist, everything you need to know. I have it. I have it for you. We're going to review all types of entertainment information, entertainment stories, and go over it, give you my journalist perspective on it. And one of the latest videos that I recently made was about the J. Cole album review and the J. Cole media discourse. And I'm glad to see that some of you guys liked it, enjoyed it. I love the comments. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm for all the discourse. I don't take any of it personal. It's good for it. The people who agree or disagree, we can talk about it in the comments. We can hop on the stream together, whatever. It's all good. I love it. This is what we do it for, and I'm just glad that you guys enjoy it, and I'm glad that we can create this community for sure. So to further on with the J. Cole story and the media discourse, of course, one of the standout tracks on the fall off was Poor Thing, where people were trying to dissect or get to the bottom of who he was potentially talking to. At first, the internet believed it was a gentleman by the name of 910 Space, who's from Fayetteville, and formerly used to hang with Cole back in the days. But after doing more research, thanks to guys like What's the Dirt, who had a great video, we were able to discover that it's probably a gentleman by the name of Tank Tyler, who's also a rapper from Fayetteville, North Carolina, former NFL player, who actually put out a diss on J. Cole about 14 years ago, way before Space did. And if you look at some of the interviews from Space, 910 Space, which I'll link in the description, he described some incidents that pointed towards Tank Tyler being the main culprit. And he also said in this interview that I'll link that he doesn't believe J. Cole was talking about him being 910 Space. He said that it didn't apply to him. The lyrics didn't apply in regards to growing up with trees where he grew up in the projects, or growing up with both parents where he didn't grow up with both parents and stuff like that, right? And him not knowing J. Cole during high school because he's 3-4 years older than J. Cole. Whereas this gentleman, Tank Tyler, as you'll see in this interview, and I'm only going to play the J. Cole element, but it's a full interview with Tank Tyler. And earlier in the interview, he discusses being from Fayetteville, going to a school that's adjacent to J. Cole's high school, his family upbringing, which would match the lyrics that J. Cole had, as well as him being the same age as J. Cole. Right, so it seems like everything is in alignment, and from my insider knowledge that my ties that I have to Fayetteville, I will say that I heard the same thing, that Fayetteville knew that it was Tank Tyler that J. Cole was talking about. So we're gonna play a little bit of this. I'm gonna just start where he's talking about J. Cole, and I'm gonna let you guys listen to what Tank Tyler has to say about it for himself.
Music, the artist J. Cole had just started getting himself into the industry too, and I seen that somewhere y'all was supposed to do music together or something like that. Correct?
Not really. I mean, the story. So when I met J. Cole first in person, we were in the club, and he was upstairs, I was downstairs, and someone was telling me that he was trying to get my attention, but they didn't say who it was.
Okay, so J. Cole is trying to reach out to you because he know who you are. You in the NFL at this time, and he's just trying to connect.
Well, this was years after though. This was I think it was around 20. Well, maybe it wasn't that long out there. It was maybe 2010, 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, it had to have been because I'm in Charlotte at that time, and we're in the club there, and I had just got booted from the Panthers. And so, yeah, it was around that time, like 2010, 2011.
Oh, okay, so y'all were in Charlotte in the club. Okay, that's dope. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got this information from, looking up and reading things so y'all were never supposed to do a record together?
No, that wasn't so I'll tell you a story. So he came up to me in the club, and basically, was like, man, I had to come down and make sure it was you, and I was a little shocked, you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, because I really didn't know who it was at first. I thought it was one of the basketball homies that I had dapped up a few times because J. Cole kind of tall. You know what I mean? So I was like, this one of the basketball homies, and then I realized who he was when he started talking. And I'm like,
If you look up Eric Maynor, he's from North Carolina. He was a hooper. Eric Maynor and J. Cole back then, they resembled each other, so that could be who he's talking about.
okay, this J. Cole. And then, so, you know, he was like, yeah, you know, you made it to the league and all that, bro. That shit huge. And, you know, you from the crib and da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. You know, and I told him, I proceeded to tell him about music. I told him about, you know, I brought up 777 because I had heard about, he was with Bombshell back in the days. Bomb Shelter.
Bomb Shelter, yeah, exactly.
Bomb Shelter back in the days.
And shout out to Bomb Shelter, 26 Legends.
Right, and I used to go through the smoke out over there.
Bomb Shelter is like a legendary rap group from Fayetteville.
On McPherson. You know,
Okay, yeah, exactly.
And it's spelled BOMM, Shelter. It's not bomb, like BOMB.
You know what I'm saying? And I was in there smoking and rapping with all them boys up in
Exactly.
there. So I remember the days. I can't say I remember. I know he was probably in there with them boys, but I'm just saying I had to bring that up to him. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? You remember 777 and Bomb Shelter over there? I was rapping with them boys, and he took a step back, like for real, like you know what I'm saying? And so the conversation went a little bit from there, and we exchanged numbers.
Okay, exactly.
And, you know, I had texted him. I shot him a text probably the next day. And probably a little bit after that, I didn't hear back from him. You know what I'm saying? Probably about a week later, I shot him another text. Yo, was good. And never heard him back from him. So, right. And then I was in Speak Easy down here one time. And he was in there. And I guess Mike was his role manager, and this was one of my.
Mike, if you just Google Mike Shaw, Dreamville, you'll see a lot of pictures of him and J. Cole. It's like one of J. Cole's day one homies.
Classmates, you know what I mean?
Mike, the guy Mike.
Yeah,
Okay.
this guy named Mike.
Okay.
This is one of my classmates, but I don't know if he's role managing. He was doing something with him. But he came up to me and was, you know, hollering at me and whatnot. And he was with Cole, and I was like, you know, tell you, man, you know.
Holla at me.
Yeah, you know, I was knocking on the desk in class and rapping and getting kicked out. You remember?
Exactly.
You know, but not on the just run up to him and you know.
No doubt. You like, let your man know I really do this.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
You know, I'm just joking with the old classmate. Really,
for sure.
You know, so I'm by the bar and Cole was right there or something, and we started talking and whatnot, and it was a little uncomfortable. I ain't gonna say, you know, what happened, but I told him, you know, I didn't know if I had the right number because I was like, yo, I hit you up a couple times, you get the message.
Exactly.
And he was like, I don't know. I was like, this your number? He was like, well, let's get on. I told him, I said, let's get on track. You know what I'm saying? Let's chop it up, whatever. You know, and I walked away because he was a little tipsy, and I knew that.
Exactly.
And I ain't, you know, want the wrong energy and wrong vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So he was looking all at my chain and shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
what you doing? You know what I mean?
If you go back and look at that 910 Space interview, so far it aligns with what Space said, because Space said that they were at Speakeasy. He name dropped Speakeasy. He said that his homies owned it. J. Cole was there for he just came back one night to party in Fayetteville, and he had a run-in with what they call the Merc Road Boys out of Fayetteville. And he said that he had a run-in with Tank Tyler, and that, you know, they had an encounter, but Space was able to defuse it, and it kind of called for like a truce, so they dapped up and left it alone. But this aligns so far. They both named the same club, the same situation basically taking place. Space actually himself also said that J. Cole was a little tipsy that night. So far, it's, you know, it's aligning.
Exactly. And so, and all this come from him again, initially reaching out to you and trying to get, this is where you even get the energy to approach him.
Right,
and all that.
absolutely,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah,
because I never, you know, I only supported J. Cole. Only, you know, from the time he got out, I only say, oh, you know, rooting, fed.
Exactly,
you
from
know
the crib,
2-6. And so after that, we chopped it up on the text some, though.
Okay.
I sent him a couple records through the email, and he was like, yo, them shits is fire, you know what I'm saying? And a little bit from there, you know, the conversation kind of went dry. And I told him, you know, a little from there, I introduced him to my young artist through text messages. I was like, you know, I got a young artist that's incredible. Like, you probably could do something with her at the label, you know what I mean? Like, give her an opportunity or something. He was like, it was too much to talk about over the text, so I'm going to call you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that died down for a while, and I kind of, you know, you can feel the energy where, like, you know, people, either they too busy or whatever they got going on.
Trust,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was like I was in Miami. I don't remember when. But he had hit me up out the blue one time, like, yo, what you up to? And I'm like, you know, in Miami or whatever the fuck I said. And I was like, what you up to? And he was like, I'm doing the album. I'm on the tour, on the promo tour. And I was like, cool. I was like, I'll see you at the top. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because I knew at that point he was on his shit.
Exactly.
I'm on my shit. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
For
like,
sure.
you know, I ain't, you know, throwing no numbers out there. Can I book you for 10 bands for a verse? No, I know you on your shit, brother. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And so, you know, that was that at that time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That was that. And I even made a record. I did that Versace remix with, like everybody else did.
Exactly.
Threw him a shout out on there. Just talked to J. Cole. I told him women could deal with the streets is.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
I gotta say, I heard some of your music. I went back to it and, oh, you really was like that too, for real. Like real bars, for sure.
I appreciate it, bro. Absolutely.
So, I want to believe, I say again, this is all through the internet. I want to believe that a little bit after that, I heard a record where he was saying something that implied kind of like the street shit doesn't apply to me, so something like that. Now, this was a slick remark to somebody, you know what I'm saying, that he was directing that to. Was that you, possibly, that you think he was saying a slick remark to?
At the time, I put the shoes on.
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah, I put the shoes on. That's why I put it in the front of the record.
Yep, and so I heard, exactly. So
the record that he's referencing is so Thang Tyler released a song called J. Cole Diss, basically saying that J. Cole let the Nam down. He remixed J. Cole's song of Let Nas Down and basically said that J. Cole let the Nam down. It's still up on YouTube right now, actually. Y'all can go check that out.
And so that they know, we eventually, the situation with J. Cole, somehow something goes sour to where you ended up making a record. I would say a diss record on J. Cole.
Yeah. So, you know, around the time there was some brothers that were rapping, you know, here locally, that were reaching out to Cole and the manager and, you know, trying to get a feature or whatever the case may have been.
Okay.
But from what I was hearing, there was like shady business, you know, coming to Charlotte, and we're supposed to meet with the Cole's manager, this person, and, you know, some other person is showing up or nobody's showing up or nobody's answering the phone. And these is, you know, people that's out in the streets here in Fayetteville.
Wow.
And, you know, trying to get their music out and stuff like that. And so, you know, they were calling me and was like, you know, we gonna diss him, you know what I mean? FJ Cole, this, that. I'm like, nah, don't do it like that because it's gonna look like you hating.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the first thing people gonna think, bro. Don't do it like that. So That kept happening though. People kept calling me like, "Yo, what's good, man? We for the bomb on him." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think it was self-made. I think they had dropped the record one time, and
All right, so I'm gonna stop it here, just because. So for the rest of the video, he essentially it's only like 2 more minutes. He just says, that these guys, the self-made guys, that group, they diss J. Cole, and that but then he ends it out by saying, that he's grown from that, he's moved on, and it's all good with J. Cole. So it seems like they left on a good note, or they just went their separate ways. Basically, it seems like this gentleman went down a complete different path. He went from football NFL guy to gangster rapper. If you go look at his old music on YouTube, and then he hit a pivotal change where he started to get into like his spirituality and health and wellness side and his African side. I think he spent some time in Africa. He talks about all of this in this full interview that you guys can check out. But sorry, it's gonna make noise when I move this. But so yeah, I mean that's basically his side of the story is that he's from Fayetteville as well. J. Cole ran up on him in the club one time, like, "Yo, what's up? I know who you are. I'm a fan." Just because he made it out, when you're from a small town, like I'm from a small town in Virginia, the local sports stars are huge. Like the local high school guy or for basketball or football that makes it to a big college or makes it to the league, like that's a big deal. So I can definitely see a world where J. Cole, was like, "Hey, I know who you are, blah, blah. I'm J. Cole. I'm a rapper. I got a deal, blah, blah." And, you know, it went from there. My thoughts on it, I mean, I see both sides. Me being let me move this down. Me being a person who is from a small state, small town, moving out to LA, you know, where I live now, people back home, it can be a tough thing to manage at times, but I do feel like a lot of it comes from just being as honest and transparent as possible and genuine as possible. But I can definitely see a world, obviously I'm not a rapper. I never made it to be a celebrity or famous like J. Cole did, but I can imagine a world where when you go back home, uh, people look at you in a different light, or people have expectations from you, or, like in a scenario like this where him and J. Cole didn't grow up together, they weren't really friends. They just met later on in life. And even if J. Cole said to him, "Hey, like, yeah, we can link or we could do a song or we could work or whatever," uh, if that never came to fruition, I can see both sides. I can see why a guy like Tank Tyler would feel away. Because, when you're on the rise or you're trying to make it and you have these moments where you think, the door just opened for me, I just got a window of opportunity, you want to take advantage of that. It feels like your dreams are at your hands, at your fingertips. So you take everything serious. You take everything as like, this is my lottery ticket. This is my moment, right? So you really are riding on people keeping their words and stuff like that. And it can be heartbreaking or very disappointing, and you can feel disrespected and take it personal if those things don't end up happening, right? But on J. Cole's side, I understand the sentiment of, you know, hey, if we didn't grow up together, if we're not day one friends, it's to have expectations on me or to feel entitled to, like, we should work together, or I should remain some type of friendship or connection with you or work with you, whatever. Like, that's tough to deal with, right? Like, if you're J. Cole and it's like, I have my real day one friends, my real hometown friends, my real family, my new friends that I'm doing this industry stuff with. I'm still on the come up. I'm on the rise. I'm trying to get to a good position in the rap game, right? And I'm trying to do all of that while managing people who I'm not really that cool with, but they're still like pressing me to do songs and work with them. And like, now they're threatening me if I don't want to do it with them, or like they're trying to make me out to be a bad guy if I don't want to work with them, or if I don't do it on their timeline, right? And I think that's really what I'm hearing here is timeline. And that's something that I've had to learn, like I said, being a person that moved away, also just working in the music industry, working in the entertainment industry. and dealing with times where I met people or came across people that I thought, oh, this is my big moment, this is my big break, and you get disappointed when stuff doesn't happen when you want it to happen. But you have to everybody's on different paths, everybody's on different journeys, and people have to tend to stuff that's priority in their lives, and you're not a priority in people's lives that you don't really know, right? Like I've came across people who were at a higher ranking than me, and I presented X, Y, and Z stuff to them, thinking, "Oh, this is my big moment, my big opportunity," and then it didn't happen when I thought it would have happened, and I took it personal, like, "Oh man, this person fake or phony, blah blah." And it's like they may not be fake or phony. It's just one, they don't really owe me anything, if I'm being honest, and then secondly, just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen at all, right? But I do understand also when you give people that's the stigma people put on like LA and Hollywood, is that it's just a bunch of like false, broken, lies and rumors of people saying, yeah, hey, I'm gonna get up with you, I'm gonna do this for you, and then you hit them up and they never respond, right? So I'm not justifying that action at all, because I think that is that's it's just not, it's not cool, right? And I think that it's something that I try not to do, right? And I do think when you're on a come up and you're young, that is uncomfortable to deal with, and it's easier just to tell somebody, yeah, we'll get up, we'll talk, blah blah. But if you're not, to me, if you're like, if somebody doesn't give me, hey, if I meet somebody that's in a bigger position than me, and I have hopes and aspirations to get through to them, if they tell me, hey, we'll work or we'll talk, it may happen, it may not. If it doesn't happen, they don't really owe me anything. If it does happen, it's really them looking out for me and doing a major favor that they didn't have to do. And if they say, yeah, we'll talk or get up, I may be thinking, oh, it's gonna happen tomorrow, next week, the next month. In their mind, it's like, yo, when I get to it, or if it ever crosses my mind again, we'll talk. Or opportunity presents itself where I need you, it'll come up, right? And I think that's really just the difference in communication. It's just people's timelines and expectations of like, oh, hey, let's do a song together, Cole, or hey, I got an artist for you, Cole, and Cole may be like, yeah, I'll get to it, we'll talk. Who knows when that will be, right? And I think that's all I'm really hearing here, because I can't really fault either side. And like I said, in Cole's defense, if you're not giving people days and timelines of when you'll do stuff, then people can't really place expectations on you. And also, if you are, these are people that you're not really cool with, you didn't grow up with them, they're not your family, they can't really put expectations on you, or, hey, if you don't do it, oh, you didn't do the song with me, I'm gonna dish you. Like, that's lame, right? I think that's lame. That's corny. But at the same time, in Tank Tyler's defense, I understand, hey, if you're selling me dreams of like, yo, we'll work or we'll do a song, and then you completely ignore me, completely go ghost, I can see why somebody would take that personal. Not to the point, sorry guys, not to the point where I would diss somebody, right? Not to the point where I would diss them or talk down on them publicly, because again, they don't owe me anything. But I can understand somebody not being a man of their word or keeping their word seemingly would be offensive or come off as disrespectful to me, especially as a starving artist. Not saying that he was starving, but somebody that's trying to make it or have a breakthrough. I can understand both sides. So, I don't really think there's a right or wrong here. I just think more so it's just we've seen this story play out time and time again. Time and time again, we've seen the story play out of the miscommunication of, hey, I wanted this from you and I expected this from you, and that's normal. But once you get to like, I'm gonna make a diss song about you because you didn't do what I wanted you or expected you to do, that's when I feel like that's strange. But I also understand the cold side of, hey, these are people, I have a lot going on, I'm trying to really get to it myself, take care of my immediate people, I'll get to these other people when I can. But also, you can't sell people dreams and put out false hopes, because people take those things to heart. So I understand both sides. And again, I do think from the 910 Space interview where he confirmed the same exact story of going to Speakeasy, Tank having a run-in with J. Cole, them having a little argument or disagreement, but then calling a truce and dapping up, how Tank Tyler said in this video. And then you look at the What's the Dirt, you look at the lyric breakdown that What's the Dirt did in regards to how it matches up with Tank Tyler. Like I said, if you look at this full interview, he gets into it, how he grew up with his parents and how he grew up in a certain area that did have like J. Cole said in his song, you grew up with both parents and you had a bunch of trees around your crib, blah blah. And then you got they went to essentially like rival type high schools. They're the same age. And then you look at 910 Space, where he says himself that he doesn't think J. Cole was talking about him, and he didn't know J. Cole in high school, and he didn't grow up with both parents and stuff like that. So when you really get into it from that sentiment, I think it's pretty easy to confirm. And like I said, with my inside knowledge, that it is Tank Tyler. But I think that, and it makes sense because when J. Cole in Diss 1, is Diss 29, with him being 29 years old, it lines up with the timeline because around that time, J. Cole was around 28, 29, where when Tank Tyler dissed him, right? Or a little younger than that. But that could be J. Cole, responding like, hey, this is how I felt at 29 with somebody from the city diss me. So it all makes sense. It all aligns. I hate to say that I think that's the end of the story. I don't think this is a thing that will drag out. I don't think that this is a thing where they're going to go back and forth. I don't think we'll see much more drama stem from this, and it shouldn't, because we're talking about a diss from 14 years ago. We're talking about from when J. Cole was in his 20s and Tank Tyler, he did some like 13, 14 years ago, right? So we shouldn't see anything else come from this. This is long gone past. This is old, and it should be left where it's at. Poor Thing is an amazing song, a great song. And I mean, it was only right for J. Cole to respond at some point because Tank Tyler sent a diss song to him first. So, well, J. Cole mentioned him in a freestyle, seemingly, but then Tank Tyler dropped a whole diss. So now, he came back with J. Cole responded with Poor Thing. So I think, it's just a part of the story, the narrative. I don't want to see it go any further. I don't want to see any tea get spilled or these guys go back and forth or it just spill into any type of violence. Like, it's just, part of J. Cole's story. But yeah, glad that we were able to get some more information on that. Like I said, I'm going to link these videos in the description. And yeah, guys, just let me know what you guys think in a comment or any other topics that you want me to touch on. Until next time, send a saint.